So much for joining me, Rique Kofi Ennis. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Indeed.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, I wanted to talk to you about living in Ghana, immigrating to Ghana, becoming a Ghanaian citizen. I mean, it's
Ghanaian.
a journey for you. Ghanaian, yes.
No, 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 not Nenian. Ghanaian.
That's what I said, Ghanaian, Ghana, a
All right.
country in West Africa. Yes?
Yes,
Right. So you're a Jamaican, first and foremost.
yes,
You also lived in the UK for many years.
yes,
You lived in the United States for many years. And
yes.
now you are settled in the country of Ghana on the continent of Africa. So, I mean, yeah, that's a journey. That it seems like
It
a lot.
certainly is.
So why?
Mm.
Why Ghana? Why Ghana?
Why Ghana?
Yeah.
Um, there are a number of reasons. I've actually, as you said, the journey has been quite significant. But Ghana came up because I've been a student of African history. I, when I returned to the United States, I joined the KEPRA African History Study Group.
Mm,
And so, of course, studying African history, a number of things come up. Everybody actually thinks in terms of Kemet, Egypt.
yes.
And of course, I had an opportunity to go to Egypt many, many, many years ago, but in my ignorance, I
Mm,
didn't realize that Egypt, because we're told Egypt is in the Middle East.
mm,
And so, of course, I wasn't interested in the Middle East. I was interested in Africa. And
mm,
so, of course, I Ghana came up because that is the gateway for
mm.
most of us in the diaspora to
Ah,
come through. There are
right.
more dungeons, or as they say, castles in Ghana than any other country. And so, of course, I wanted to go and see that. And of course, going to the country to see the dungeons, actually, I became enamored with with the people, with the
Yeah.
space, and all of that. And so, of course, I've been trekking there for several years, many, many visits. And so I eventually had to make it home.
Yes. So when exactly did you physically make the final move that this is
The
my
I
home?
think that could be said to be because I've been going to Ghana since about 2005, 6, 7, somewhere thereabout.
Mm,
And I eventually made the transition, I think, in 2017. At least that's when I bought
yes.
land and
Okay.
actually got my borehole and that kind of thing and started putting down roots. But I mean, I could easily say it was 2009, but
Yes.
when I really put roots down was 17.
17. Okay. And yeah, so you mentioned you bought land. Um,
Hmm.
you're building a home that is, I mean, practically finished.
Hmm.
So first of all, where exactly are you building? Where exactly is your land?
Right. I'm in what is referred to as Greater Accra.
Greater.
Accra is the capital of Ghana,
Yes.
and that's in the south of the country.
Mm,
And of course, I'm in Greater Accra, but it's like being in a suburb of Accra, but I am located literally on the coast.
mm.
I'm actually in a village called Ningo. Well,
Mingo.
Ningo Pram Pram.
Yes.
Most people know of Pram Pram, but I don't want to say too much about Ningo because I'm not too keen for a lot of the diasporans running there and spoiling it. But yeah, I'm
Yeah.
in Ningo Pram Pram, which is well in Greater Ningo or Great New Ningo is my location.
Okay. And back in, was it 2019, I think, the
2019, the
yes, the
president.
president of, right, of Ghana invited,
Yes,
you know,
yes,
all Africans to come back home. So it was the year of return.
yes.
Um,
And several thousand people several thousand more than usual came.
Yeah.
But it was also the year of what? COVID.
Ah, truly, truly, truly. Yes. So of course that
The
would have
beginning.
impacted, yes, the amount of people coming. Right. Um, but I mean something like that, this welcoming, this call for Africans to come home, that must also have, been an impetus for a lot of people, including you. I mean, to stay there and build and all of that. Yes?
Yes.
I mean, do you
Well,
feel like
again,
you're
as I
part
said,
of this?
yeah, I started before
Yes, of course
the
you
rush.
do. Mm,
And in fact, 2019 saw a lot of people. There's a lot of discussion about whether that was just a publicity thing or whether it was really meant. Because in truth, there was no real infrastructure for
mm,
inviting people when you come. And if you want to stay, what is there and that kind of thing.
ah,
Now, I know individuals who've been there for 30, 40 or more years who, in fact, were fighting for citizenship, and that, in fact, this goes back many, many, many years. But
mm,
in fact, in 2016 was sorry, 2016, I think it was, when the first group of individuals,
mm,
no, it can't have been 16, must have been 18. Anyhow, who got their citizenship.
yeah,
I don't remember the exact year. There was only 34 people because, in fact, the invitation was put out, and most people didn't believe it
ah,
when the president actually said, if you actually sign up, you could become a citizen, and because
mm,
people have been asking for this for years and nothing had happened. And so in 20, I think it was 16, about 34 people were
right,
granted 34 diasporans, I should
right,
say,
uh-huh,
were granted citizenship. Those are individuals who had been living there for a significant period of
many
time,
years.
anyhow.
Yes.
And then, of course, in 2019, there was another influx where the newer president actually was supposed to be 250, but 124 got citizenship. Then in 2020, the rest got it and what.
Right.
But that's how the citizenship thing came about.
Indeed. And
So
you
the
are
impetus,
also now a citizen. You
yes,
also
I am a
become
citizen. But
person.
the impetus, the reason I threw that in is because it is also one of the things that a lot of people from the diaspora have been asking about. How do I settle? Do I have any rights and things like that? And I've got to say that there is in Ghana a right of return, which suggests that if you turn up, even with a single ticket, you
Hmm.
will not be turned back.
Ah, really?
You can, yes, you have 90 days to on any visa. But beyond that, you can apply to stay longer. And it's not like here in the States where we're fighting you not to come in. In
Yes.
Africa, they're inviting you to come. So in
Indeed.
fact, it's our home. It is where we should be, and this is how it is. So you have a right of abode. So
Hmm.
you're there, you can stay, and
So, yeah, so there are legal and maybe social provisions for people who come.
yes, things are getting a lot easier now for individuals wanting to come.
Right.
There are indeed still
Mm,
issues, but then there are issues everywhere.
yes.
And I mean, a lot of us leaving the diaspora are taking our baggage and actually expecting to dump it in Africa and think it will be welcomed. We love you. That you got to leave your baggage behind. You
Yes.
can't come there and expect the people to actually embrace you when you're coming with all the chips and
Mm,
and all the
mm,
stresses and all the
yes,
dysfunctionality
of
and all
course.
of that.
Yeah. Yes. Um, so we mentioned that you bought land and you're building a house.
Yes.
How easy or difficult is it to go through that process if you want to buy land? Because once you bought the land, obviously you will more than likely will be building. But how easy
Mhm.
is it, or what kind of
Yeah.
process do you have to go through?
You know, they it's interesting because the biggest problem that most people have,
Hmm,
or one of the biggest problems, is with land purchase or land acquisition.
okay.
There are different ways of acquiring land in Ghana, and we don't have enough time because that's a whole program on its own.
So, yeah.
So briefly, what I'll say, I mean, I was, or I am fortunate in as much as that over the years, I built up a family, a community of individuals who are trusted and who are balanced and that kind of thing. And so when I came to purchase land, I didn't have a lot of the issues that some folks have had. How
Mm.
difficult is it? You can get land either through stool, which is a chief, or
Okay.
you can get land through the family,
Mm.
or you can get land through the government.
Yes.
Now, stool land, the chief in any community is like is responsible for the land. He doesn't or she doesn't own the land. They are the custodians of
Ah,
the land for
okay.
the community.
Mm.
And so you get a lease on a piece of land for either 50 years, 99 years, or whatever it may be. And
Right.
so you get with stool land, you got to go through the chief and you actually go through that process.
Stu, STU, how do you
Chief.
spell it? I know, it's a stool land, they call it.
Oh, stool, like you sit on.
Stool,
Chiefs sit
STOOL.
on
Okay, got
stools.
it, got it.
Yeah.
Right.
That is like in in the British system, the
Yes.
king sits on a crown,
Yes.
throne.
Yes.
In Africa, we sit on stools. I know. Sorry about that.
No, no, no.
So the chief, the stool land then comes through the chief.
Ah,
And as I said, that's a whole program, which I could go in. If you want more detail on that, I could actually do that.
no,
The
that's
family, I got my land through family. So
mm,
there is still chief involved,
yeah.
but in fact, it was bought through the family. And so, of course, my approach was with the family. And we actually sat with the chief and actually I did things my way, which
Mm,
meant that the moment I started the investigation, I got a lawyer.
ah,
And
yeah.
I still have my nice little lawyer who actually you know
Yeah.
did the search and all of that.
Mm,
That, however, does not mean that you won't have problems. It
right.
just means that at least you have some comeback if you
Ah,
have problems,
absolutely. Absolutely.
right? So I then actually, having acquired the land, which was not too problematic,
Mm,
you have to go through, you got to get your indenture, you got to actually go through the processes. And of course, once you've got the land, it is important that you put something on it.
I mean, truly.
So once you've acquired the land, we put some sand and some stones on it, and that actually says that this is mine, this
Right.
is ownership. And eventually you're going to fence it
Mm,
so that the thing is, and the reason that a lot of people have difficulties, if you put nothing on the land,
yes.
it is not unlikely that somebody else will come and sell that piece of land to somebody else,
That's
which
not
is where the
unusual.
problem
We
comes in
know it
for a
in
lot.
Jamaica as capture land.
There you go. You see, so no, we learn from each other, and this is part of the whole thing. And
Indeed, yes.
so, a piece of land. In fact, before I bought my land, I was warned: do not buy land in Accra, greater
Mm,
or otherwise, because they sell land 3, 4, 5 times the same piece of land.
okay. Yes, yes.
It did not happen to me.
Mm. I mean,
I,
I've heard these kinds of stories in different countries, so it's
right.
not unique to
It's
Africa.
not, but you see, a lot of people use that as a criteria to say, "Oh,
Ah,
Africa is." So
mm,
I want to put that in context.
indeed,
I went through the family. I went, had a lawyer. We did all the kind of stuff. I got the land. I started building.
mm,
My building didn't start, although I acquired the land in 17. Building didn't start until I think early in 19,
okay.
2019, that is.
Yes.
And so, of course, it's built and it's done. And I'm waiting for a few things like there. It's not furnished, and I'm the two things I'm waiting for. And oh, you got to remember, the same way we have what is it, Black Man time or whatever. Everything takes forever. You
Right,
don't go there.
exactly.
You
Well,
know, we
know
have our
that.
own time.
Yes, not unusual. Absolutely. Yes,
Hmm.
indeed. Yes. But yeah, congratulations. Yes, you're a landowner. You have a home,
Yes,
and
and the deeds and all, everything is
donated.
okay and whatnot. Um, there's a whole story around that. I don't know if I have time to share it with you because it might be interesting for one listening.
Hmm.
Um,
In another,
although I had my lawyer,
yes.
and the land, and I had my indenture and everything, whatnot, it transpired that there was surrounding me, basically putting in context. I'm in a field.
Hmm.
It's where no other property had been built where I'm building,
Right.
where I built. I'm in the middle of a field, so to speak. It was farming land. And of course, I got my land and whatnot. So around me, some other family members were selling up land to a woman. This
Okay.
woman had a plan for a gated community.
Ah.
And in fact, it transpired while I was away here in the States
Hmm.
that, of course, she was doing her surveying and whatnot. And she thought that a piece of my land was
Hmm.
on a piece of land that she bought.
Ah, okay.
Now, this actually created a great big storm. And it's interesting, so I better share this bit. The storm is we actually had, I got back because my foreman who was building my
Hmm.
house and whatnot, she had put in the police come and take him away and things like that. So all kind of things happened.
Interesting.
Now, we eventually, the chief got involved because the chief knew about the land and all of
Hmm.
that. So he actually went and bailed my foreman out and all of that. Now,
Drama.
having actually gone through that, we actually arrived at the point where this woman, having got this land, now brought other family members into the thing. Now, it's important that we know, just like in Jamaica, your ownership of land is dependent on how long your family have been in that area on
Yes.
that piece of land and that. Now you might have 3, 4, 5 children, and they may be with different mothers and that kind of thing. So of course we have the difficulty of who owns the
Mm.
piece of land, which is why it gets resold several times. Well,
Yes.
anyway, long story short, the woman raised the thing, and many of the other family members became involved. My piece of land then was not sold by the right person. He was family, yes, and the
Yes.
deed they whatnot, but he wasn't the one supposed to sell it because land in the GA, the Ga community is
Mhm.
sold, or everything goes through the patrilineal line.
Yeah. Ah. Okay.
And this individual, it was his mother, so
Naturally.
the matrilineal side. So it transpired that I had to buy my land again.
Wow. Yeah.
So
Okay.
I paid for it twice.
Very traditional. Wow. Okay. Yes.
But
Yes.
it's okay. I was fortunate
Mm.
in that he had access to land in a different place, but
Mm.
not the place that he sold me my piece of land.
Okay.
So
Understood.
I was able to get land, the same money, in a different place. So
Oh,
I've now acquired land in a different place. So I've got two
you've
bits
got
of
two.
land.
Two. Ah, interesting. Right. It is so important to do your due diligence. Not just that, but
Absolutely.
also take into consideration the cultural
Yes.
practices of the country you're in.
Absolutely.
It's exactly what
Absolutely.
you went through, right?
Yes.
Um, yeah. So that makes you definitely legitimate. So now you've been there for a number of years now, landowner,
Hmm.
homeowner. How are you accepted within the community, within the area,
Right.
the
Good
town? I
question.
mean, are
People
you
usually
seen
say
as
good
one of
question, but they're
us?
all,
Are you one of us? You seen as one of
yeah,
us or a
yeah.
foreigner?
Now, you see, we in the West, and I have a particular view, but we in the West have been brought up to believe that the Africans don't like the diasporans. And I'll say false.
Yes, yeah.
I mentioned earlier that I built up a kind of community.
Mm.
I have, and in fact, where I live, because it's in the middle of a field, there are no other diasporans in my immediate neighborhood.
Yes, yeah.
So I am reliant upon my local people. Now,
Mm.
I'm not cutting myself off totally
Mm.
from diasporans, but I choose to live with the indigenous people because I didn't leave the West to be an
Mm.
American in Africa or a Jamaican in Africa.
That's
I
it.
left the West to be the best African that I can be in Africa. And in
Mm.
fact, I'll tell you a story. This is not for everybody,
Yeah,
but this is my story.
yes.
Um, I said I went to Ghana 2005, 6, 7, somewhere thereabout.
Mm.
The following year, because I returned the next year, I was staying in a hotel and I met a young lady who was, well, I met a whole heap of people, but this
Mm.
particular young lady who was working at the hotel.
Yes.
We became friends. We communicated. I communicated with different people, not just her. But for some reason or other, we continued communicated. And whenever I returned to Ghana, she was there to lend a hand, give me. And the people
Yes.
are among the friendliest in the world. And I
Uh,
mean, really, they're really seriously beautiful. But you also have crooks. I
well,
have to add
that's
that as well.
everywhere.
But
Yes.
yeah, but they're beautiful people. She became a friend. And I tell this story because I want it known. In order to get the land and to do all of this, she was instrumental. I needed to get money transferred from the West to do things there. I
Mm.
was not there. I could send money every week, month, or I chose my story. I chose to
Mm.
open a bank account in her name,
Okay.
but send the money to her to do the things. We still do that even today.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
And I cannot, with doing all of my due diligence and check, I cannot see anywhere where she has taken
Mm.
money from my account. Or if she needs something, she'll ask for it.
Of course. Yes.
There are not many people that I would say can or would do that. But it's
Yes.
my story and it's the way that I work because there's a certain degree of trust.
Trust.
I'm not suggesting that other people do this, but
Mm.
as I said, I've known this person for now about 15 years,
Mm. Mm. Okay.
you see. So
So
we
you
built up over the year a friendship, a relationship. And so when you say, how am I accepted? This is an example of what it means. I
absolutely.
have a community of people who I
Yes.
work with,
Yes.
and I can call on for anything at any time.
Mm. Truly. Truly. Yes. I mean, so yeah. I mean, we've heard stories,
Of course,
family in Jamaica taking
of
care of,
course,
land purchases for you and the kind of, horrendous stories that some of these people
absolutely.
have been through. So it is about building trust, and you have found that
There you go.
trust and
That is what it
that
is.
space for
Yeah.
you. Yes,
you
yes,
you work with people, you build with people, you actually develop a kind of trust indeed and an understanding of where you're coming from and how it
yes,
is. And so of course we have this. And right now, my engineer, my all
mm,
of these people are people that I've worked with for a period of time, people who I can say, if they say it's so much,
yes,
I believe honestly that it is so much.
yes, yes,
And if
indeed.
not, then I go to my lady friend there and say, is this acceptable? And she will determine.
Indeed.
She'll determine. But there's about three of them like that I've got who
Yes,
I can go to. And so I don't necessarily have to take her word for it. I can
right,
take other.
right.
Yes.
Amazing. Yeah. So, I mean, one of the things that a lot of Westerners think, or they have the stereotypical view of Africa not having, proper roads and conveniences and blah, blah, blah. So you've been there long enough. So tell me about, things like infrastructure, right? Conveniences,
Mhm.
going to getting money from banks or doing
All right. all
business.
of that, very, very important
Yes, yes.
for anyone contemplating actually
Mm.
transitioning. Okay, the roads in Ghana are diabolical.
Okay.
Fact. I love to say we don't have potholes, we have manholes.
Okay.
Fact. I mean, yes, okay. Again, I remember Jamaica just like that. I
Thank God.
frequently
Mm.
I frequently say to one, for me, and one of the reasons I love Ghana is because it reminds me of when I was a youth, and you can see I'm a grown man. It reminds me of my youth in development stage and that kind of thing. In
Yes.
Ghana, we do have issues with lights. They're
Mm.
doing a great job in improving the electricity issue,
Mm.
dumpster as we call it, but we get period when the light goes out and it'll be out for several hours and it comes back on and that. So we do
Mm.
get that. We
Yes.
do have areas where, because they're fixing the infrastructure.
Mm.
You see, so as they go through, in fact, my engineer who did the lighting in my house,
Mm.
he works for the electricity company of Ghana,
Ah,
and
okay.
he was called away to a different region. So he's been gone for several months
Mm.
doing electricity and so my electricity has not been done. But I choose to wait on him because
If you're
it's
doing it for the greater good.
there you go, that's it. So I could have had my light done tomorrow morning, but
Right.
I'm waiting on Edward because he's good.
Mm.
So electricity is being water. For me, my water comes from a borehole, which
Mm.
is 150 feet in the ground,
You mean a
deep.
well, a borehole?
A well, well, no, a well is a different from a borehole. A well has got about 20 feet down, and you put a
Ah,
barrel down.
okay, okay,
And
okay.
I'm going deep, deep, deep
Ah,
into the structure of the earth. And
mm,
so we go down 120, 30, 40, 50 plus
right.
feet, get water. So it comes up. You then test it and make sure that it's the
Okay.
salinity of it and that kind of thing. So a
Mm.
lot of people have boreholes, but you can get water through the system as well.
Mm.
Or depending on where you are, you might have to go to the lake to get your water.
Yes.
So it depends on where you are. I'm in Greater Accra, so I have access to water from the
Right.
system. But
Right.
I'm in the middle of a field, so I have a borehole.
Okay. All right.
All right. So the roads, bad, needs improvement, but they're always working on them.
Yes.
The water, the electricity, the shops. You can't. I don't. I can't say that I've seen anyone starving
Yeah. Yes.
in
Yes.
Ghana
Yes. Yes.
because there's so much food.
Mm. Mm.
It's plentiful,
Indeed.
and there are markets everywhere, and everybody is selling.
Mm.
Everybody is out on the road. Even children who should be in school are out there selling as well,
Ah,
and things like that. But everybody is selling something, and so you can get. And I will say this: whatever it is that you want,
mm.
that you're in the West and you say, I want, just realize that you can get it in Ghana. You just have to know who to communicate with.
Yeah.
You
Ah,
can get it.
indeed.
We get a lot of things from China, and some of the quality, China, Japan, and Turkey
Mm.
supply us with a lot of the kind of things. Not all the qualities are up there, and I choose to buy my stuff in England.
Mm.
The electrical stuff, I should say. I choose to buy my electrical stuff in England because it's the same power outlet
Okay.
output. There, it's 220,
Mm.
240, as against the American, which is 110, 120.
Yes. Yes.
So the
Okay.
Ghana uses a 220. So I get my electrical things. And the reason I do that is not because I don't trust the stuff in Ghana, but it is because I know certain brands.
Ah, indeed. Yes. That
You
makes
see,
sense.
so for me, it makes sense if I know that my Vitamix is the best blender, as an example. I'm not saying it is, but then of course I'm gonna get and carry with me my Vitamix.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
exactly
So,
what I did, I bought mine in England. But
so in other words, everything is available. It just depends on,
yes,
where you are and
sure.
if you know where to
Shops,
go and get it,
yes,
right? I wish we
absolutely.
had a
Everything is
lot
available.
more time because there's so much to talk about. But
I know, which is
we only have about 5 minutes. So let me
okay.
ask you this, really and truly. I mean, maybe the last question. So, what's your advice to those who, are thinking about moving to Ghana,
Relocating.
relocating to Ghana? I mean, what should they think about?
Okay. The thing that one, well, first of all, I'd say to every
Hmm.
African diasporan, at
Yes.
least make one trip to Africa. Put your foot on African soil. That's number one. It
Okay.
doesn't matter which country it is, just put your foot on African soil and remember that's where your ancestors came from. That's number one.
Yeah.
Number two, what should you look out for? What I would say is every skill, whatever skill you have is needed
Hmm.
on the continent today. So if I'm a doctor, if I'm a street sweeper, if I'm whatever,
Yes.
the skill is there.
Hmm.
Your responsibility or my responsibility is to determine how am I going to create an income while
Hmm.
I'm there, because the infrastructure is not there for you to get benefits. And
Okay.
anyhow, you're just coming in, so you won't get benefit anyhow.
Yes. Yeah.
So have an idea of how you're going to earn a living. So that means you have some spare cash for 6 months or a year to survive.
Hmm.
The
Hmm.
cost of living there is less
Okay. Yes.
than in the West,
Hmm.
significantly less. The quality of life is a hell of a lot better.
Hmm. That's what people want to hear. That's
Yeah,
what I
the
hear. Yeah.
quality of life is 10 times better.
Hmm.
But the standard of living is higher in the West.
Hmm.
So what should one be thinking of? Yeah, how am I going to actually make a living? I have friends. In fact, only this morning I was communicating with a friend who works online,
Ah.
because you can, yes, we do have the internet and we do have challenges with the lights out, but you can work from there
Yes.
online.
Yes.
And I have several friends who do just that. A lot
Hmm.
of them work online, although they live in Ghana at the moment,
Yes.
and all over the place. Those are some of the things that I think one should think of. How
Okay.
am I going to actually survive during that? And by the way, rent for property is not that, in my opinion, is not that expensive. It depends on
Hmm.
your pocket,
Yes,
but it
indeed.
depends on where you want to be. You
Right.
can find, and you do not need a lot of stuff.
Ah.
In the West, we got tons of stuff which we drag around with us. The
Indeed.
average household that I go into in Ghana, the average,
Hmm.
that's the people that I know,
Hmm.
a lot of them don't even have a bed.
Hmm. Hmm.
And that's not a negative, but they have a roll-up mat which they prefer to sleep on.
Exactly. It's probably
You
the
understand?
best way to
It
sleep
is
anyway.
better for the back.
It's a
But
great-
it's
yeah.
again, you're going into a different cultural state, and it depends on whether you want to carry America, Jamaica, Barbados, England, wherever with you, or
Yeah.
whether you're prepared to actually make a transition into a different experience. You can
So,
only grow if you change. If you
ah,
do the same old, then you're dying.
indeed. And like you said before, you want to be the best African you can be living in
Absolutely.
Africa.
That's the reason for going.
Indeed. Well, you seem happy, you look happy, and I'm feeling that
I'm
you.
just waiting to get back.
Indeed. Oh,
Yeah,
wow. Well, listen, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me. And
my
yeah,
pleasure.
beautiful story because you know what? It's about connecting with who you are.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And, you, we are all reflections of those who we spend time with.
Truly.
And of course, as I say, in Ghana, I found some beautiful people. And when you ask how I get on in my community, I am, well, I'm not under that. Oh, I should make one point before you go. Because I'm a mature person, I won't say old man, but because I'm a mature person,
Indeed.
I am not revered, but I'm respected.
Ah, that's key. That is key.
I am respected wherever. And the children, whatnot, still recognizes an elder or an older person and treat them with a deference that actually says that you have had experiences which I've not yet had, and I can learn from you.
Excellent. Fabulous. Fabulous note to end on. Thank you so much, Rique
Blessings.
Kofi Ennis. Blessings indeed. We will
Till the
talk
next
again.
time. Thank you for the
Talk
opportunity.
again
We will.
on
Good.
another aspect of your life in Ghana. All
There
right.
you go. I loved it.
Take
Give
care.
thanks. Bye-bye.